everybody. Welcome back to the Triboro Podcast. It's going to be a somber episode. It's going to be a little bit of an upsetting episode, as we will be talking about the Brandon Nimmo trade to the Texas Rangers. I'm your host, Nicholas O'Brien, as always, joined by my co-host, Justin Alonso. Justin Alonso, I hope you're doing well, but we got to get right into this thing. First and foremost, initial reaction when you saw the trade. What's going through your mind?
Huh? A little bit of backstory. So, I think Saturday, we were just texting, like, yeah, like, let's record next week after Thanksgiving, kind of like that
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday. That'll be like a couple days before winter meetings, do a winter meetings, kind of preview. And then Sunday comes around. I'm just watching the Cowboys game, and it's during like a commercial, so I don't have Twitter on my phone. So I just wanted to see like what some of the pages I was following were saying. So I go on Twitter, I go with my notifications. First thing I see is a passing bomb, and I'm like, why the hell are they trading for Marcus Simeon? And then I see Nimmo's going back. I'm like, why the hell are they sending Nimmo in that? And we're gonna get into it, but it's very hard for me to find a way to spin this where this makes sense. But
Yeah, I mean, initially I was all for like, this is ridiculous, this is stupid, I don't get it, like, and
the messages in the group chat are something.
yeah,
But
I was upset, I was mad, all the negative emotions you could think of, I was going through. And after doing some digging, I get it. I think that's the worst part of it is I understand. And I can even almost say I agree with the move because at the end of the day, you get out of 5 years of Brandon Nimmo, who's been on a decline. You only have 3 years left of Marcus Simeon that you'll deal with. But just to finally get into it, so the trade itself is basically a one-for-one swap. The Mets will be getting Marcus Simeon, who has 3 years left on his contract for $72 million, about $26 million a year, except for the last year, which is $20 million. And then the Rangers will be getting Brandon Nimmo, who has 5 years left on his contract, along with $5 million in cash considerations. So it's just $1 million a year. So that brings the contract to 5 years, 96 for the Rangers and Nimmo. In 2025, Nimmo played 155 games with a 3 WAR, a 114 WRC plus, -1 outs above average in left field, 46th percentile in sprint speed. Marcus Simeon only played in 125 games. He did break his foot in the summer. That kind of ended his season, especially with how the Rangers were doing. They weren't really in the playoff hunt, so they kind of shut him down. In those 125 games, a 2.1 WAR, 89 WRC plus, 7 outs above average, 81st percentile in sprint speed. So obviously looking at it, you're getting a plus defender at second base. I believe he won the Gold Glove this year at second base for the American League.
I can check that for you.
Yeah. And going out is Nimmo, who is a perfectly fine
He did.
outfielder. He did one. Okay. So you're getting a Gold Glove second baseman.
In only 120 games, but
Right. And Nimmo, who is a perfectly fine outfielder, it's kind of upsetting because now I feel like now Nimmo's getting the attention that he should have got 4-5 years ago. And now, back then he was underrated and people didn't really understand how good of a player he really was. And now that people are kind of seeing it, now he's not that player that was once underrated. Now he's what everyone thought he was, you know?
it's almost like the Anthony Rendon effect of he was really good, really good, really good. People were like, "Oh my god, this guy's underrated. He's so underrated. Look how underrated he is." And then it starts to tail off. Obviously, I don't think Nemo's gonna have the tail off that Rendon had, but kind of
Yeah.
like that same idea that everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's so underrated, so underrated, so underrated," and then once he finally gets rated, then he becomes overrated because people are putting him to those expectations that were
Right.
previously had.
Yeah. Now it's an overcorrection.
Yeah, that's probably the better term.
Yeah. So, I mean, face value, it's kind of like almost an even swap when you look at it from a pure value standpoint. Simeon in 125 games was worth one less win above replacement than Nimmo. Nimmo played in 30 more games. So it was probably going to be a toss up at the end if Simeon played a full season. Over the last 3 years, though, Nimmo in 458 games, 9.9 WAR, 117 WRC plus. Simeon 448 games, 12.9 WAR, 108 WRC plus. I will note for Simeon that includes one elite year, one good year, and then this down year.
The underlying numbers are not pretty.
And they've never been.
Yeah.
But you can say the same thing for Nimmo, and he has 5 years left on that contract.
That's fair.
So, with that being said, let's get into the fact, why did the Mets make this trade? And it starts with Nimmo's decline. As of right now, as we stand here today, this is probably at best a coin toss of who wins this trade right now. This is a long-term solution. This is the Mets getting out of the 5 years from Brandon Nimmo. Not because they think Marcus Semien is a better player now, not because they think Brandon Nimmo is going to go kaputs next year. This is to get out of the remaining 5 years of Brandon Nimmo. The fact that he can no longer play center field at least an above average level completely tanked any
Forget that.
value
At least
he
at an
had.
average level.
Right. Yeah. It completely tanked any value he did have. He's a corner outfielder who plays subpar defense. And I think it's, if you're a Mets fan and you watch all the games, I don't think it's crazy to say the defensive metrics are probably a little kind to Brandon Nimmo, seeing some of the plays he tries to make. He doesn't have a good arm. Again, below average range, and he is 15 to 20% better than league average with the bat, while in the past he used to be a 30% better with the bat. So again, this is really just a long-term solution. This trade will only matter based on the moves that follow it.
That's what I was gonna say too. Because you look at it, feels like I don't know the direction the Mets are going in right now. Because you look at the deadline. I don't want to say they went all in because that's like not fair, but they pushed a decent amount of chips into the table for like rental guys for 2025. But now you do a move where you're trading off Brandon Nimmo for something that's going to hurt you in the short term, probably helps you in the long term. So it is going to be one of those things of what other moves are they going to do? Are they going to do moves? Because if they do kind of what they did at the deadline where they're doing moves, like you're trading for a Tariq Skubal knowing you're not going to extend him, that feels like almost conflicting timelines. And I know you can make an argument that, oh, get Skubal in the building, never know. But I'm just using it as an example of a guy on an expiring contract. So, really, really interested to see how the Mets go from here on out with those moves. But
yeah, look, the year 2025 was such a disappointing year that we kind of knew something was going to happen. Like something drastic was going to happen. Whether that be they were going to let Pete Alonso walk, whether that be they'll let Edwin Diaz walk. And after the end of the season, the hot topic was kind of, Brandon Nimmo could be on the
I didn't think
on
it
the
was going to happen.
trading block. I didn't think he would accept it.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest thing. I never thought he would have accepted a trade because, Nimmo was a Met through and through. He's been in the organization for 14 years. He was drafted in 2011, went through the entire arbitration process into free agency. It got handed the 8-year contract from Billy Epler, which at that time, everyone knew that was way too many years for Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah.
And here we are. But Nimmo was a Met through and through, and it's unfortunate because it's so tough to take the emotions out of this trade. It's really really tough. I'm kind of glad we were able to take a day until we could record this I probably would have had a much different
Oh
reaction.
yeah.
But it's so tough to take the emotion out of someone like Brandon Nimmo, who represented the organization in like the best possible way, and like the way you want a player who's going to represent your organization to do so. And he loved the organization. He loved the fans. He loved the city. And you could just tell that it meant everything to him to be able to clinch the playoffs on Citi Field turf in 2024 once they beat the Phillies. It's so tough to take the emotions out of it. And I wish things were different. I wish Nimmo could have retired a Met. I wish he didn't get an 8-year contract. But the reality of it is he's a declining player who plays a non-premium position that's owed a decent chunk of money, who very realistically by the third to last, second to last year might not be able to play the outfield. So again, this is a long-term solution, and short-term at best, it's a toss-up because, like you said, Justin, Simeon is not really he's nothing with the bat.
Yeah.
The underlying metrics aren't kind, but he's never really been a huge, like, he hits the ball well, he barrels up the ball. Even in, what was that, 2021 with the Blue Jays,
They were hit like
he's
40 home runs.
right. He was about average to above average in a lot of the batted ball stuff. And for the most part, they've kind of stayed the same. And even in 2023, he had an 826 OPS. He was below average in average exit velo, barrel percentage, hard hit rate, bat speed, you know? But his value, at least right now, will come from the fact he doesn't strike out. He takes walks at a good clip. He plays good defense. He's a good base runner. I also do think that the bat will fit a little better in Citi Field rather than Globe Life
Gold Life, yeah.
in Texas,
The warehouse.
which has just the warehouse, which has just been a really weird stadium since it's been built.
Yeah.
But between the last 3 years, the Rangers Stadium is bottom 5 in park factor. The Rangers are 24th, Mets are 19th. This is purely for right-handed hitters, might I add. When you look at home runs, because Marcus Semien, at the very least, has a knack to pull his fly balls, which will work very well. When it comes to right-handed home runs, the Mets are 7th, the Rangers are 10th. So it's a slight upgrade. He did hit better on the road this year, but I'm not trying to say he's gonna be, an MVP candidate like he was in Toronto or at the beginning of the Rangers contract, but I do think you can get league average offense from him at the very least. And again, it's shorter term. It's 3 years. So once those 3 years are up, he's done, instead of having an extra 2 years of Brandon Nimmo. So again, it's probably a toss up as of right now, but this does help the Mets in the long term, because we said it at the beginning of the offseason that it was going to be very tough to improve this team without making drastic changes, because there's a lot of guys in on the books. Nimmo, Soto, Lindor, not going anywhere. McNeil was probably like the most realistic option. And, with the addition of Marcus Semien, he's probably even more expendable than he was beforehand. So now there's not really there's not a lot of big contracts left on this team, which then begs the question of what comes next. But before we get to that, I do want to give Nimmo his flowers because he absolutely deserves it. This is a guy who, if he finished the contract out with the Mets, there's no doubt in my mind they probably would have retired number 9 up in the rafters. He's 7th in all-time WAR for the Mets. He's in top 10 for runs, RBIs, home runs, WRC plus, OPS. He's in the top 10 for a lot of these categories. And sure, you can say that maybe that's more to say about the Mets organization as a whole, but again, he spent 14 years in this organization. He wanted nothing more than to see this organization thrive. And it just sucks that the best Mets team or the best decision for the Mets was probably to get rid of Brandon Nimmo.
And if you saw me with a shading grin, it was not me making fun. It was me being happy that you finally said RBIs.
Yeah, whatever. I'm emotional. All right.
Nah,
Excuse me.
I still, this move is hard for me to wrap my head around. Just because, like, I get it's for the long term. But to me, the median outcome of Brandon Nimmo as a player is what you're hoping Marcus Semien could be in terms of production. And I get it, it's for the long term. I think it, like we were saying earlier, really just comes down to what the Mets are going to do this offseason and what that timeline is going to look like. Because if they're going for a more short term timeline, I do not like this at all. I think it's a horrible trade. If you're going for a more long term outlook, okay, I could kind of buy into that. But they're
I
in
mean,
just such
who in this free agent class do you even want to give a long-term contract to begin with?
Tucker, and that's it.
Right. So I don't think it's fair to say that when there's really probably one guy that's worth a long-term contract,
That's fair.
you know? And
More
the
so
scary
trade,
thought in
more
my
so
head.
in the
Right.
trade aspect, because there's rumors swirling around Tatis just because the Padres they are selling, right? Or is that they're trying heavily to
I don't.
sell?
Apparently they want to sell the team. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what that
Well,
means
that's what I
for
meant.
on the field.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm not
typically, if
sure.
you're selling the team, you want to get rid of like it is seem like you kind of want to clear money if you are going to sell a
Yeah,
team, less what's the fucking word? Not debt,
liabilities.
liabilities for the just from like an accounting point of view. So
Yeah,
maybe a Tatis could be a thing. I know you hate him, and it probably wouldn't be a good fit. But a Machado, just throwing out like big names with big contracts. That's more the
sure.
exercise of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just like I said, for me, it would be very hard to find a way where you trade away Brandon Nimmo and you help the team. And I don't know. I'm also getting
Well, here,
PTS.
answer this question. Who do you think Brandon Nimmo will have a higher WAR than Marcus Simeon next year?
Yes.
Can you say you can say that with 100%
No,
confidence?
I can't say anything with 100% confidence.
90% confidence.
I'll go 80.
I think it's more of a 50-50.
That's
If we're
fair.
gonna look purely on projections, which is all we have right now, Simeon's projected for about a 3 WAR season. Nimmo's 2.5.
I've just, and this could just be me having PTSD. I get scared of trading for guys when they're this old,
Well,
especially.
he's 35. This isn't a great
Yeah,
thing.
that's more of what it is because I'm just getting such Josh Donaldson PTSD. It's not the same. There's multiple reasons why this is not the same. Donaldson's underlying numbers were a lot better. Simeon is not nearly, let's call it, the personality that Josh
Yeah.
Donaldson is. That's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting PTSD from so many times where teams get that old veteran coming off of a down year, numbers going down. And that's more of what it is than anything else. But
Yeah, I understand that, but to give some Mets fans some solace, if you're into the underlying stuff, it really has not changed for the past 3 years. There's really not much difference. Between 2024 and 2025, it went up a tick actually, and yet he was worse. You know, he's still a sub 700 OPS in 2024. But again, if you get a 700 OPS from Marcus Simeon and he continues to play good defense, and as of right now, there's no reason to expect him not to. He hasn't lost a step when it comes to sprint speed. Then again, I think from a purely value standpoint, it's a toss up on scheme fit. And when you have guys like Carson Bench, like AJ Ewing, like Jet Williams who can play center field, Nimmo was almost a block to get younger, and there's too many highly valued prospects. The Mets farm system is, depending who you ask, the best farm system in the league, with a lot of high value prospects who are knocking on the door for next year at the earliest. And a lot of those guys, like I just mentioned, Benj and Ewing, are outfielders. When you have guys like Nimmo and Soto, and you only have a spot for center field, that blocks those young prospects. And yes, Nimmo's proven. You know what you're getting with Nimmo. You hope that one of these guys turns into Brandon Nimmo. But again, it's getting out of the last 2 to 3 years of that contract that is really the biggest thing from this trade. As much as it sucks, I can easily see Nimmo barely being an everyday regular come 2028, 2027.
Yeah. My only thing is if this prevents them from signing one or both of Edwin Diaz or Pete Alonso. And I know there were comments today, I forget who said them, from the Mets, but pretty much saying that it won't.
Yeah.
And
I'm not
because
sorry to cut you off, but I don't know how that would anyways.
Well, because I was gonna say you're adding money for the next 2 years. You are adding, what is that, 6 million, because you're also paying the Rangers. You're adding on like that, whatever it was, like million.
One, yeah.
So you add that, then
yeah,
the 5 from, so it's about, call it 6 extra million.
6.
Maybe that makes them not go that extra couple of million to get a deal done.
If that's the case, which I don't think it is, based off what we've seen of Steve Cohen, then yeah, sure, I have an issue with that. But I really don't think it does. If 6 million stops Steve Cohen from signing an Edwin Diaz, a Pete Alonso, then I think there's another issue that we just don't know about.
Yeah. And I could even, I don't want to say push back, but I could even bring up a point of, would it be worth signing Pete Alonso to that long term of a deal to call it let's call it a 5 or 6 year deal. Let's call it a 6 year just for argument's sake, where you think Nimmo is going to be better than Simeon for the first 2 years of that. So you're giving a worse offense around Pete Alonso for those first 2 years. And you're also, because my thing too is Lindor is, how old's Lindor now?
He's 32.
So he's also 32. I just think that the Mets had a window that they 2-3 year window that they capitalize right now on, then kind of have like a little bit of a lull, and then another window. And I just feel like it may have been a mistake to not capitalize on it, because also Soto's going to be around for ever. He's going to be around for a while, but he's also playing awesome right now, and we don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to say short-sighted, but I also don't know what's going to happen in 3 years. I don't know how much guys are going to regress, how much guys are going to come out of nowhere. So for me, looking that far in advance in 4 years, if you're trying to win right now, it's just a little weird. Again, like I've been saying, got to see the rest of the moves the Mets do, so we kind of see where they're going. But overall, just not a fan.
Yeah, in a vacuum, it's probably terrible. Like, no one makes this move. But again, it's what comes after this that's going to really show the, I guess, value you get back from trading in Brandon Nimmo. And you talk about windows and all that, but Brandon Nimmo has been on this team since 2016. He's been up with Alonso since 2019. They've been with Lindor since 2021. The farthest they've got is the NLCS by a fucking miracle.
But I wouldn't necessarily say that's Nimmo's fault.
No, of course it's not. It's baseball. It's not one guy's fault. But this core has had multiple years to show that they can win, and they haven't. If anything, they've choked. 2021, they choked. 2022, they choked. 2023 was a disaster. 2024 started as one of the worst teams in the league before, again, a miracle took them to the NLCS. 2025, they choked. How many times can you keep running back the same team and expect different results?
I wouldn't even say it's the same team though, because I think
How is it not?
Juan Soto fundamentally changes that.
He changed it last year. Look what happened.
All right, that was last year is fair, but I don't think. Where am I wording this? I think there were a lot bigger issues than Brandon Nimmo. So,
Brandon Nimmo was the least of the problems. I'm not putting anything on him.
yeah, but that's kind of more where my concern is of you're trying to I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Your arm is cold, so you're taking off your pants to wrap around your arm. Like that's what it feels like to me, that you're trying to solve one problem but you hurt yourself in another way.
It's a very interesting trade. It's very decisive. It's very controversial. I think you talk to 10 people and they're going to give you 8 different answers.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think the on-field value is probably a lot closer than people think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're not a war guy, I'll find something else, but there's a very real chance Simeon is worth the same amount of war as Brandon Nimmo next year. 2027, different discussion. 2028, different discussion. I don't even know if he's going to be on the team.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to go back to the point and that this move is a long-term solution and will only be as valuable as the moves that come after it. So with that being said, we'll finally talk about what's next, because I think we kind of went in circles and talked about it as much as we can.
There's so many circles you could go down, because I feel like
it's
we could say, oh, what about this? What
so
about that? What about this? We don't know, because there's so many more things that can happen.
Right. I think the best thing is that they got this trade done now.
Yeah.
Winter meetings didn't happen. None of the big free agents signed, except for Josh Naylor, but he was kind of like tier 3, tier 2 kind of free agent.
Middling is harsh, but like middling of the upper class.
He's a fine player.
Upper middle class, let's call it that.
Yeah. So you have the rest of the offseason to figure this out.
I'd also love to know how this trade came to be.
Apparently, so Stearns did talk to the media earlier today. And long story short, the Rangers expressed interest during the GM meetings. It was a week and a half ago.
About that, yeah.
And, it kind of just went from there. And this trade seems to have been sitting on, the stovetop for a few days, because Nimmo took his time, as is his right and as he should, to decide if this is what was best for him, best for his family. He apparently also called up Jacob deGrom, who's on the Rangers now, obviously, and ultimately decided this was probably the way to go. And I think he also, I don't want to say he was hurt by it, but I think there's a level of pride that you're coming to me to waive my no trade clause because, this is probably harsh and this is probably not how they meant it, but like, you don't want me, then fine.
You don't think I'm part of the solution?
Right, then fine, trade me.
That's why, and I've kind of said it the last couple weeks, I don't really think no trade clauses are that big of a deal.
Yeah, you did mention that last time.
I don't know. I've seen it so many times across sports where there's literally 1 or 2 times I can really think of across any sports where a no trade clause really threw a wrench into things, and even then the deal still got resolved in other ways. That was the one thing I want to mention. The last thing I wanted to mention, because I meant to mention it earlier, was because you reminded me with Stearns talking and all that about how he was talking about run prevention. To me, this almost feels like an overcorrection in that way. That is where I'll leave it. I wanted to mention that earlier, completely forgot to mention that, but it almost feels like an overcorrection.
I could see that. I could definitely, again, in a vacuum, I think you're right. But once again, I'm going to beat a dead horse. it only matters based off what they do next.
100%.
Like, if they sign Kyle Tucker, call it. All right, I think that
Yeah.
makes sense. Kyle Tucker's
Makes
a
it
better
a
player than
lot,
Brandon
a
Nimmo.
lot easier to stomach.
Right. Tucker's better than Nimmo. Simeon is a good defensive second baseman who you could think can bring you league average offense, ideally at the bottom of the order. So, all right. Makes sense. But going off of that, ideally, I think the team now needs 2 outfielders, right? Because you don't have Nimmo.
Including prospects or just major league players?
We're just talking major league players.
Okay.
So, because, and it also depends what to do with the other outfielder, but essentially, I think they need 2 outfielders. I don't think it's a good idea to go into opening day of Tyrone Taylor being the starting center fielder. I've been saying that. I think he's a perfectly fine 4th outfielder. He's just not a starter. That's just not who he is. And that's fine. But with that being said, it depends on what they do in either left field, center field, right? Say they trade for Byron Buxton, right? He's your new center fielder. Then I think you can stomach having Carson Benj the opening day left fielder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It depends on what they do.
He also
But
just scares the shit out of me, but
100%. Maybe they do. You mentioned it earlier. They trade for Fernando Tatis Jr. Move Soto to left field. Carson Benj is your opening day center fielder. I think you stomach that. I think that's fine. But if it's not a top end guy like that, then yes, I think they probably do need 2 outfielders in whatever way.
what's your plan on center? Say hypothetically the Mets do draft, Jesus Christ, sign Kyle Tucker. What's your plan for center? Say they don't sign someone else. Would you be fine just throwing Benj in center?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
I'd be fine with Taylor starting the year as a center fielder and giving Benj more time in AAA.
That's fair. I would
If
agree
you
with
sign
you on
Tucker.
that. Just because Kyle Tucker is such a good player and such a game
Right.
changer that you are fine
Exactly.
losing that little bit of defense or that positional value, whatever, to get that guy in the building.
Right. So, with that being said, the one thing that will make me hate this trade to my grave, past the grave, into the afterlife, I will haunt the Stearns family for eternity if they sign Cody Bellinger. If this trade was to open up a spot to sign Cody fucking Bellinger, I will lose all faith in the front office and I will be fucking pissed beyond belief. If you're going to trade 5 years of Brandon Nimmo at $20 million just to sign Bellinger, I call it 6 years, $25 million. That is the dumbest fucking thing you can do.
I hope it happens now and he plays well.
If they sign him, I will root for him. I've liked him. I just don't think he's a fit. If they sign him, I'm going to be pissed beyond. It's going to be the Tommy Pham shit all over again. I'm going to shit on it. I'm going to talk bad about it every chance I get until he proves me wrong.
I want it to happen. I want him to play well now. Just so I could hear you eat crow because of how much I love Cody Bellinger.
He's just not a fit for center field. He's just not a fit for the Mets.
I agree.
Sure, he fits the defensive part of it. But again,
even then I may disagree, but
left field.
Left
field,
yes. Left field, yes.
Not to play center.
Yeah.
But like you said of Simeon, I think that would be an overcorrection.
Yeah. At that point, just stick with what you got.
Right. If we look at, for left-handed hitters, we look at the home run park factor. Yankees are obviously fifth.
Oh yeah, Cody Bellinger is a Yankee Stadium merchant, 100%.
The Mets are 16th.
Yeah.
For left-handed home runs. That's where a ton of his value came from with the Yankees.
The reason I was pounding the table for Cody Bellinger and the reason why it worked so well is because his pull fly ball rate is one of the best in baseball for left-handed outfielders. That works incredibly well at Yankee Stadium. That is average at best at Citi Field. Like you said, what, 16th?
16th.
So, and let's say he
Like-
pulls it, but he pulls it a little bit more to the left, and it goes in kind of like that jutted area.
Right. That's a flyout.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit the ball hard.
How many-
He doesn't have good bat speed. I swear to anyone who you believe in, I swear, I will be so mad if Cody Bellinger ends up being a Met. I do not see the fit whatsoever. But
So
that being
Cody
said,
Bellinger had 30 home runs this year. How many do you think he would have had at Citi Field?
22.
25.
Great.
I mean, hey, you want to go to 2024? He had 18. You would have had 19 at Citi Field.
Like, even with Yankee Stadium, yes, he put up a 5-WAR season, basically, because of defense and everything. He had a 125 WRC+.
Yeah.
He can't hit on the road. His road splits are also not great. 97 WRC plus on the road. And also, you trade Brandon Nimmo, who's a left-handed hitter. You bring in Marcus Semien, who's a right-handed hitter. So you're going to sign Cody Bellinger, who's another left-handed hitter? I do not see the fit in so many ways. If he wants like a 4-year deal, I can maybe stomach it. But
He's
he
not getting
doesn't.
a 4-year deal.
Exactly.
I'd
He
be
doesn't.
shocked
That's
if he
not
gets.
what's gonna happen.
I'd be shocked if he gets 5. I think it's gonna be 6 or 7 to me. I didn't say that on purpose.
But so that's kind of the free agents. I think a Byron Buxton trade makes a ton of sense. I know it's scary because of the injury history, but last year was a relatively healthy season for him, and yet that was only 126 games. But still, in those 126 games, he still put up a 5-WAR season. So you just bank on that one healthy season. You're looking at MVP candidate at the very least. The other
And just one more
portion-
thing on Buck.
Oh, yeah.
Were you
Sorry,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
anything else on Buxton?
Not really.
He has one of the weirdest contracts in all of baseball.
yeah.
Because no one else signs the deal that Byron Buxton did, where essentially the next 3 years he's making about $15 million a year. Call it.
Yeah.
But he also has a shit ton of incentives based off of like every kind of thing he hits with like plate appearances, at bats. I forget the games. I forget the exact. I think it's by games.
I thought it was at bat.
It
feel
may
like
be.
it's
Let
usually
me
at
see if I can
bats.
find it. Because I'm performance incentives, plate appearances. So the way that it works is, if he hits 502, he gets 500K, 533, 500K, 567, 500K, 600, 500K, 625, 500K. Then he has a bunch of MVP bonuses as well.
So I think that would make a ton of sense.
But he does have a full no trade clause.
Okay. I think Fernando Tatis Jr. would make a ton of sense. There's not a lot on the free agent market. I mean, I think if they think Harrison Bader, what he did last year, is even remotely sticky, maybe not a 120 WRC plus, but like a 110, I think that would make sense. And then you can have Benj in left field. But
Oh, I did not know how backloaded Tatis' contract is.
yeah, which I think, if anything, makes it more likely that he'll be traded. Because if there is going to be a new ownership group, they're not going to love that.
Yeah, he's getting $36 million a year from 2029 to 2034. Oh my god, if I said 37.
I'll take it.
Oh,
I'll take it any day of the week.
100%. I would take that too.
But
Did not realize how backloaded.
so this trade just opens up a lot of different paths that the Mets can take, which I think is another one of the bigger things to take from this. Is they have a lot of opportunity now. and they need to take charge of this opportunity to make this trade worthwhile.
It's
Because
the
again, by itself, it doesn't make
it's
sense.
the meme with the house with sunshine and the house with the clouds, the storm, in the two roads. But think about it, there's 37 roads and you have a blindfold on and you have no idea where the fuck you're going.
And Cody Bellinger is the one with a dark, stormy, disgusting, decrepit,
Don't you dare talk about my cookie like
haunted
that.
building. But yeah, so again, super interesting, very emotional. I believe Jeff McNeil is now the longest tenured Met, which is crazy.
He may be the
And
longest tenure Met for the next month.
yeah, exactly. It's tough to see a fit for him with Simeon on the roster.
Putting him in the outfield?
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't
Not
think
as
so
every
either.
day. Maybe he'd be like super duper utility, but I don't know. I mean, for
Square peg, round hole. That's what
to
all it
right,
sounds like.
exactly. To me, Simeon is playing second base every day.
Oh yeah.
I doubt you're gonna platoon him because he actually also hit righties better this year. But I don't know. There's a lot of avenues they can go. They trade Jeff McNeil, you get out of another $10 million. You sign Tucker.
My only thing is who's
It's
taking
interesting.
on all of McNeil's contract. I know it's not
It's
much.
fifth. It's 1 year too. It's a
I
fifth.
know, but
If you pay it down to like 8-10 mil for 1 year, someone will bite at that.
I still feel like you gotta attach a prospect with it though, like a somewhat okay prospect.
Maybe, but like if maybe you trade him for a reliever that's making like 8-10 mil, you kind of make it even. I'm not sure
Fair.
who that is off the top of my head, but like something like that.
Yeah.
Because again, this bullpen also needs work. Let's not forget that. But it's just it's a big trade. It really is. It changes a lot for the Mets. It hurts a lot of the fans, obviously myself included. You know, getting back into baseball around like the 2018, 2019, it was kind of like him and DeGrom that I really latched onto. And now they both play on the fucking Rangers. So now I will forever hate the Texas Rangers.
We are getting a Texas
But
V2, baby.
I also think sports are so interesting because I think
Oh
in
god,
a
it's so bad
way,
he's getting philosophical.
I know, in a way, it sometimes mirrors life in a way of like you have your championship windows and a lot of
You're
those
gonna
windows
you're gonna
close
say the thing.
as you move on like through life.
JW would be so proud.
It's really a microcosm of society. But
For those that had JW, you know.
yeah, if you somehow
If you
did.
peel back the layers of the onion.
But I do think it's interesting to see like how much this Mets team has mirrored at least my life. 2018 was a big year in my life. That's when David Wright retired. the end of 2022 with DeGrom leaving, I was in the middle of college and getting ready to get out and graduate. And now Brandon Nimmo, who has been around as long as I can remember, he gets traded. He's no longer the team as I graduated college and I'm ready to move into like you know
Life.
adulthood and life. It's really interesting, and I think that's what makes it that much harder to say goodbye to somebody like Brandon Nimmo, who again has been one of my favorite players since I got back into the sport, and it really does hurt to see him go.
I,
And
s-
I wish him nothing but the best. And I hope he plays well in Texas.
I
I'm
s-
not rooting for a decline. I'm not rooting for him so I could be proven right. If anything, I hope he proves myself and David Stearns wrong. And I would hate to look back and say, "Damn, we that was its dumb move." But for Brandon Nimmo's sake, I hope they do. But
I still remember. I believe I was coming back from Thanksgiving, and I pull my car into the parking lot of the school. I check my phone, see that Degrom went to the Rangers. I get into the dorm, and I see you with your Mickey Mouse pajamas on, your hoodie,
hell yeah,
eating a big tub of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and saying, "I don't want to talk about it."
Yeah, that DeGrom hit me like a fucking truck. This hurts. This hurts. I've been fighting. I've been fighting all day, but DeGrom hit me like a fucking
Yeah,
truck.
you were eating Ben and Jerry's ice cream and cookies.
As a
And
diabetic.
I was gonna say for a diabetic
As,
man.
but yeah, so
Now is it only
I
Ben
don't
and
know,
Jerry's? No cookies?
yeah. Well, last night was Hispanic Thanksgiving, so I got to eat my feelings away with that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any other thoughts?
Um, fuck the Eagles.
Fair enough. Any other thoughts about the Mets?
Um, like we've said maybe 100 times, we have to know what other moves come from this to
Yeah.
then make a. I don't even want to say a grade, but then kind of know how we feel about this move.
Yeah.
Overall, not a fan. You're more 50-50, but
Yeah,
we'll
I think.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I can't say I'm a fan of it. I can't because I can't take the emotion out of this trade. I hate trading Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah.
He should have retired as a Met. 2024 was the fucking year. I swear to God. I don't want to look back in 10 years and be like, 2024 they should have won. Just like 2015. I don't need another fucking repeat of that. All right. But yeah, I'm definitely 50-50 right now. In a vacuum, hate it. Doesn't make sense. Don't like it. You have 15 million second baseman already. You add a 35-year-old second baseman who can't hit. But it opens up opportunity to then make other moves, which will then decide how I feel about this. So,
One last note, because I meant to say it earlier too. I feel like it's a lot easier to find a defense first, bat second, defensive second baseman, than to find a bat first left fielder that plays around league average defense. A little bit
I think
under, a
both
tick
of
under, but
those. I think both of those are easily
whatever.
findable.
To me, I feel like it's easier to find that second baseman, but
Yeah, I mean, look, you probably could have put Luis Angel Acuna, and there's a very real chance that he doesn't, completely
suck.
underperform what Marcus Simeon would do.
Yeah.
So there's that. Take that for what you will. But again, I will leave it with you. Leave you with this for the last time. This trade, this move will only be defined by what comes after it. I wish Brandon Nimmo the best, and this turns out it's going to be a very interesting offseason after all.
And
So,
the
Justin,
Mets
if you
have
had
the
nothing
man with the
else,
best last name in baseball.
Beatty.
Sure.
So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I know this was more of a rambly one. This trade is insane, confusing, depressing, exciting, all the
I was
emotions.
fucking
So, thank you
shocked
so
when I saw
much
it.
for sitting through this with us as I at least worked through my emotions live. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you think about the trade. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a rating, leave us a review. Helps us out, lets us know you're enjoying the show. Remember to follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. For the most part, we will be more of a live reaction there. Yesterday I couldn't because I was not home. But for trades and signings, we'll have a lot of the first reactions on that. So make sure you follow that. And thank you guys again. And we'll see what David Stearns and the Mets have in store for us next. We'll see you then.